I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and it's part 2 of the full video review of the T-Mobile myTouch. Let's take a look. Part 2 of the T-Mobile myTouch review, but before we get too in-depth, let's give some love to Best Buy Mobile because they hook us up with all kinds of phones, including myTouch devices for use in our One Paul Bandit giveaway game, which we turn around and give to you on the site. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll get everything set up on this device, so when you walk out the door, you're good to go. Let's take a look at this because this is the myTouch. It joins the myTouch queue on T-Mobile. They're both available right now for $50 after a $50 mail-in rebate. And like I said in part 1, the specs, they're okay. It's a 1.4 gigahertz, single core, Snapdragon S2 CPU, and then it's got a 4-inch WVGA display with 800 by 480 pixels, a 5 megapixel camera with 720p recording. You've got a front-facing shooter, a 1,500 milliamp hour battery, and Android 2.3.6 with a custom user interface. So as you can see here, customized over there, and then it's got a nice look and feel, and it's a little bit thinner as a result of it not having the keyboard. That said, I can find other devices on the market for $50 or $100 that are just spec'd better. Take, for example, let me find it. I thought I had it on my desk, but I guess I don't. The HTC One X, for example, $100 from AT&T, dual-core processor, top-end specs, HD display, and more, and you get it for $100. But AT&T is historically more expensive than T-Mobile, so you got to decide: do you want the longevity discount, or do you want the upfront discount and get a device that's a little bit better all around, or pay a little bit more and get a device that's a little bit better all around? But let's jump right in and take a look at some of the speed stuff here. We'll do a quadrant standard score, and I did take this device with the myTouch Q to a T-Mobile dead spot. I tested this one in a little bit of a different area also. I tested it in West Charlotte. There's a little T-Mobile known dead spot just off of Wilkinson, and I found it to be relatively decent. It did get choppy, but I was able to maintain the call. 1,500 milliamp hour battery here is going to get you about, at least with this device for me, I was able to get about 9 hours of talk time. That's with moderate use, so keep that in mind. Moderate use, 9 hours of talk time, somewhere around there in terms of overall time on the phone. That's with calling, texting, emailing, browsing the web, sending and receiving data, and more. So HSPA plus capabilities on this device as well means a slight battery drain on that front, so keep that in mind. Otherwise, a pretty decent all-around device, even though the battery's a little bit small, but it does have a 4-inch display. So it's loading up right now in quadrant standard. We're going to let it take its sweet time. Speakerphone's pretty decent as well, but I think the value proposition just isn't here to me. I know I say that in a lot of videos, but you look at this and then you look at like the One S on T-Mobile, which, if I'm not mistaken, it's $149.99 in T-Mobile stores right now, in corporate T-Mobile stores, which means you could probably get the One S for cheap or next to nothing on third-party retailers, Wirefly, any of the third-party retailers out there, Amazon, etc. You can probably get a good deal. So keep that in mind. Take a look if you're in the market between this, because honestly, for $50, if this were $19 or $29, I'd have an easier time recommending it because it's not a bad device by any means. That said, at $50, and especially given the fact that it's after a $50 mail-in rebate, you might want to look and see what else is on the market. So quadrant standard loading right now, and overall, as you can see, the design is relatively decent here. And you've got your volume rocker on the left, you got your power button, or excuse me, your camera button on the right, you've got your micro USB charging port at the bottom, and then your 3.5mm headphone jack and power button up top. So it's loading right now. And in case you were like, is Aaron putting in filler content just because it's taking so long to load quadrant standard? The answer to that, my friends, is yes. Yes, I am. 1,926 on quadrant standard. Let's do a speed test as well. This is T-Mobile's HSPA Plus network. So we'll load up speed test here and take a look. And you can see tools. Let's go ahead and switch this over into megabits per second. I am going to read this, and I'm going to back out of it because we agree. We agree, don't we? Yeah, of course we do. I agree. And then speed test, we'll load it up right now. HSPA Plus has been pretty decent in the Charlotte metro area. I've been relatively impressed with the scores. Keep in mind, though, it's Friday right now. It's 4:20, and I'm in the middle of uptown Charlotte, so we are in rush hour. Got a rush hour time right now. I've seen this go as high as 10 to 12 megabits per second in good T-Mobile areas. If you're familiar with this city, South Park Mall, just outside of South Park Mall, when the roofs aren't collapsing, and that was like a Charlotte joke. If you live in Charlotte, you'll get that. You'll get 10 to 12 megabits per second on the download, and on the upload, you'll get about 3 to 6 is what I'm seeing, from time to time. Uptown, not as good, 3.39, still not terrible by any means, but I've definitely seen better with HSPA Plus. Now, this device packs a 5 megapixel camera with 720p HD video recording. So if you're camera buff, it's probably not going to do the job. If you're somebody that snaps a picture from time to time and that's about it, you should be more than fine with this. I'm going to snap a picture of my coffee mug over here that is conveniently holding this little black thing down on the table. And you'll notice that, of course, there's an autofocus, as you can see there. But you don't have a two-step camera button. When you press it down, it does take the picture. And then you've got settings, flash, back, and camera over here. So, bam. Snap the picture, as you can see there. And then I can go into the gallery and take a look at it and do my pinch to zoom. So pinch to zoom, very responsive there with little to no lag. So overall, a decent camera, and then you've got, of course, 720p. I can flip the camera to recording mode. I can flip it to the front-facing camera if I want to and take pictures like that. That's a nice picture. Take a look at that. Ooh, that's pretty. And then you've got that option to do that as well. So it's got some decent options. Settings are in there. You can change the white balance and more, and the autofocus is nice. But that said, you know, it's no match to the Galaxy S3, the 1X, or even the 1S. And I think the biggest contender to this device, or biggest competitor rather, is going to be the HTC 1S, just because they're kind of close in price. And I still think if you look at Wirefly or some of the third-party retailers, you can probably find the 1S for a relatively cheap price. So keep that in mind. So all in all, you know, it's a pretty decent device. There's nothing wrong with this device by any means. It's got mid-range, I'd say low high-end specs. It's got a single-core processor, a 4-inch display, 5-megapixel camera. Love the Genius features, which I showed off in part 1. I can click the button and it'll load up into Genius mode. I do like that. Those features are nice. I think that enhances the brand. Send text to Bob Stevenson, or maybe it's Bill Stevenson. I could be wrong. These features are nice, as you can see here. We're going to go ahead and call somebody. Bill Stevenson. So there you go. I can call Bill Stevenson and do that. I can say, call Bill Stevenson. Pretty easy to use. And so I like that feature. That's good given the fact that this is a $50 device. Not bad by any stretch of the imagination. That said, the HTC series, obviously a little bit better. Then you look at like some of Samsung stuff. The Blaze, that series is even a little bit better. And then you look at like, of course, the iconic Galaxy S3, the 1X, the Evo 4G LTE. There are a lot of great devices out there, and given the fact that a lot of these have dropped in terms of price, you got the 1X at $100, you got the Lumia 900 at $50, I think it's really going to depend on whether you want a high-end device and pay a little bit more money, or you want the longevity of getting a cheaper device and being on a T-Mobile contract for 2 years and saving money, or, third option, within T-Mobile, spending a little bit of extra money and getting something like the 1S, or perhaps maybe spending, you know, a couple extra bucks and getting the 1S. Hey, take a look at the Amaze 4G as well, because even though it's an older device, it has been updated to Ice Cream Sandwich, and it does have a dual-core processor. So that's my advice. Nothing wrong with these devices. They're great additions to T-Mobile's lineup. I'm sure people are going to be very happy with these, but for the price, unless you can get this for free or maybe $19.99, I'd take a look at some other devices on the carrier. Much more coverage to come on PhoneDog.com. Keep it locked on the site for continuing coverage of the myTouch and the myTouch Q and all the T-Mobile goodies that are pre-installed. T-Mobile Mall, T-Mobile Name ID, T-Mobile TV, which is, hey, TV on your phone. What could be better than the T-Mobile TV service? Actually, there are a lot of things that are better than T-Mobile TV service. But T-Mobile TV service certainly isn't bad, so we can go ahead and take a look at that while we're signing off. Be sure to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/PhoneDog, and of course, cast your vote for your favorite smartphone in PhoneDog's official smartphone rankings. Be a part of the industry conversation at PhoneDog.com/rankings. Hit me up on Twitter as well, PhoneDog_Aaron, and on Facebook at Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB. The service, I believe, is $10, but you get some free channels as a result of being a T-Mobile customer. So if you are interested in signing up, keep that in mind. Stay tuned for more on T-Mobile's myTouch and myTouch Q, both designed by Huawei, on PhoneDog.com. Let's see what we can load up on TV here. Ooh, Disney Channel, Bloomberg. 30-day trial, yeah, T-Mobile TV Prime. That's a Prime channel, and then you got like AP over here. Let's see what we got here. Live channels. It's going to authorize it, and it's loading up right now on T-Mobile's HSPA Plus network. Thanks so much for watching. Keep it locked on the site for continuing coverage, and as always, we'll see you next time.